Hi and welcome, dear students. Today we are going to cover a short story from your textbook Beehive. The short story is The Snake and the Mirror. It's a prose written by Waikom Muhammad Bashir. In general, it's a story about a person who is narrating a story, and at the end, there is some element of surprise. I will be reading the text and I will be explaining it line by line in own words. You are expected to note down any difficult word that comes your way. Kindly make a note of it in your notebook and find the meaning looking up in a dictionary and find synonyms looking up in a thesaurus. It is expected of you that you use rich vocabulary when you are re-expressing the text. Let us begin. The learning objective for today's lesson is to identify the main idea and the details. That means you identify what is the main idea in a particular paragraph and you find supporting details to support that main idea. The main idea might be in the first sentence of a paragraph and the details might be within that paragraph. That is the task I want you to attempt. I will be explaining the text, reading the text and explaining the text. The homeopathic doctor is narrating the story. He asks the writer, the group of, if anyone had ever seen or ever been wrapped up by a cobra snake. The audience of course became silent and they were quite fearful because they couldn't even think of such a sight where they could either have Phoebe facing a snake or such as a snake like python wrapping around them. And then the doctor narrated his story. That means now in his story there was a snake. It accidentally landed up in his room while he was taking rest, and he was quite taken aback and he couldn't move. And then he rushed out, and then later on when he came back there was an element of surprise waiting for him. Wait till the end till you know that surprise. It was a hot summer night, almost 10 o'clock. He was returning home after leaving his dinner at the restaurant. As the doctor was opening the door of his room, he heard the noise from above, but he did not react because he was used to such noises. Now, he lived in a surrounding, in a place where rodents or animals like rats were quite common. So, if there was any such sound in the house, he just ignored it, that it was, he knew that those were coming because of the rats. The sound was a familiar one. One could say that the rats and I shared the room. So he's quite humorous when he's saying that the rats and I shared the room. This is from the text. The explanation could be that he was very kind. He was very acquainted to the noise that he heard, and that noise he recognized that of the rats, and the rats and he lived in the same room. That means they dwelt in the same room and he was quite used to that noise. I took out my box of matches and lighted the kerosene lamp on the table. The house was not electrified. It was a small rented room. Now he's mentioning, you can make out that he lived in a place where electricity had not reached that particular place. So he still used the olden types of lamps for lighting. There was no light in the doctor's room and he used kerosene lamp. And the place was a rented place. It was not, he didn't own that place. I had just set up medical practice and my earnings were meager. That means he had just started practicing and his earning was very small, that he could hardly live from hand to mouth. I had about 60 rupees in my suitcase along with some shirts and dhotis. Dhotis is a kind of cloth that is worn on the lower part of the body by men. I also possessed one solitary black coat which was then wearing. That means he had a coat but it was becoming quite old. The explanation could be that he was the beginner in his medical practice. He had very little money and his clothes, you can make out from his condition, was quite shabby, and he had very just as few as 60 rupees in his bag. And further he adds that his shirt and dhoti that he wore, that you can make out from his outlook, that he was more of an villager than a town person, and the color of the coat was black and it was being worn out. That means it was quite becoming quite old. I took off my black coat, white shirt, and not so white vest. The not so white vest, you can make out he means to say it was dirty, and hung them up. Please remember about his vest, because at the end we have got something very surprising waiting for us. Kindly hold on to it. It's very interesting. Do not go and look for that ending. He removed his coat and he had hung it, and he hung his dirty vest also, which is not so white, means it was quite dirty, or needless to say, he never washed it. I opened the two windows in the room. You can make out his room was quite airy. It was an outer room with one wall facing the open yard. I had a tiled roof with long supporting gables that rested on the beam over the wall. Now he is describing his room over here. There was no ceiling. There was a regular traffic of rats to and from the beam. So he was mentioning about his pests that lived in the house. Yard is an open space in the garden or the veranda, and gable is the upper part of the wall below the sloping roof. Then he opened the windows. The room which he had taken on rent was outside of the house, and the wall of the room faced the garden. The roof had tiles on it, and the gable was supported by the beams. That's the description that is given us. Inside the room there was no roof. The beam on which the gable was supported was full of rats, which went in and out of the room or through it quite often. I made my bed and pulled it close to the wall. I lay down, but I could not sleep. I got up and went out to the veranda for a little air, but the wind god seemed to have taken time off. Now he's being quite humorous over here also. The wind god means the wind was not blowing anymore. Taken time off means taken the day off or a holiday, that means was not present. He was quite restless in his bed. We can make out that he was not going to sleep, and he was feeling a little uneasy, so he wanted to go out and enjoy fresh air, but there was no breeze outside, the wind was not blowing, and he's been quite humorous when he's saying that the wind god has taken a day off that day and it was quite hot. What he meant by saying all this is that indirectly he meant that he was feeling quite hot. And needless to say, when it is very hot, the animal, the pests, the reptiles seem to come outside. Be mindful of that. I went back to the room and sat down on the chair. I opened the box beneath the table and took out a book. The Materia Medica, that's the name of the book that he was reading. I opened it at the table on which stood the lamp, and a large mirror, a small comb, lay beside the mirror. Now please be mindful of that he is mentioning, because little later that will prove to be quite humorous of what he is placing on the table. He came back to the room and sat in the chair, and he opened the box under the table and he took out the book that he wanted to read, and he took out a lamp in front of the mirror and the comb. He opened it and he sat down. Now reading the text once. One feels tempted to look into a mirror when it is near one. I took a look. That means it is quite tempting that if there is a mirror close by, it's human nature that you want to look at yourself and you want to admire yourself. So he did the same. In those days, I was a great admirer of beauty, and I believed in making myself look handsome. Though he did not wash his vest, but he believed in beauty and he wanted to look quite handsome. As he was sitting in front of the mirror, he looked at the image in the mirror and he wanted to admire himself and he wanted to beautify himself. And needless to say, he wanted to look handsome. I was unmarried and I was a doctor. I felt I had to take my presence felt. And he was unmarried, he was a doctor too, and he was eligible bachelor. That means he was the word eligible bachelor over here means he was of the age that he should get married. So he wanted to make people know that he was also available. So now he wanted to, that is the reason that he wanted to beautify himself and make his presence felt. So that is the reason he took the comb out and he wanted to beautify himself. I picked up the comb and ran it through my hair and adjusted the parting so that it looked straight and neat. So needless to say, he combed his hair properly. Of course, wanted to look handsome so that people get attracted and look at him. Again, I heard that sound from above. What was that sound? The sound of the rats. Was it rats or was it something else? I believe now the plot is building up, the rising actions, and we'll see now what is that he was hearing, that he was ignoring as the sound of the rats. He continued combing his hair, and then I took a close look at my face in the mirror. I made an important decision. I would shave daily and grow a thin mustache to look more handsome. Now he wanted to change his looks because he wanted to give a different look in order to look handsome. I was after all a bachelor and a doctor. Bachelor means a person who's not married. Now he's repeatedly mentioning about he being not married, and he was a doctor too. And this is he's supposed to be quite handsome. And he was supposed the reason for beautifying is that find a better match for himself. I looked into the mirror and smiled. It was an attractive smile. Now you see he's admiring himself when he's looking at him into the mirror. I made another earth-shaking decision. What was the earth-shaking decision? Let's see. I would always keep that attractive smile on his face. So earth-shaking decision, that is quite humorous over here when he says that it's an earth-shaking decision. That means he normally doesn't wear a smile on his face. Maybe he's quite a serious person. I would always keep that attractive smile on my face and look more handsome. So now he's discovered that when a person wears a smile, the person looks handsome. Earth-shaking over here is used to bring in humor. That actually means something very important. He was appreciating himself. He was trying to look attractive, and he wanted to wear a smile on his face to look more attractive. I was after all a bachelor and a doctor too. On top of it again came that noise from above. You can see that he's mentioning repeatedly that he was a bachelor and a doctor at the same time. And the noise is recurring, so it's for emphasis that he was a bachelor and a doctor. The second emphasis is the noise that was coming from above. Now make sure that now this noise is not the noise made by the rats, it is made by some other animal, or most probably a reptile. Okay, let's proceed and see. I got up and paced up and down the room. Then another lovely thought struck me. I would get married to a woman doctor who had plenty of money and a good medical practice. She had to be fat for a valid reason. If I made some silly mistake and needed to run away, she could not be able to run after me and catch me. So he's quite humorous over here indeed. Paced means walk, and valid means logical or justifiable. I think it is quite self-explanatory that he wanted to marry a woman for her money, not for her looks. He did not want a lady for her good looks. He wanted to marry a fat lady, and his logical reason was that if he was unreasonable and he had to run away, the lady would not be able to run fast and catch him. With such thoughts in my mind, I resumed my seat in the chair in front of the table. There were no more sounds from above. Now you can make a note of it. There were no more sound from above. Above means that from wherever that whatever animal or reptile or animal was making that sound, it has come down. Suddenly there came a dull thud. Thud means when something falls down, it makes a loud sound. That sound is called thud. And as if a rubber tube had fallen to the ground. Surely nothing to worry about. Now see, he is describing it very clearly, and we know that from the title itself that it is about the snake. So we are assuming that some animal is close by. Thinking of all these things, now we can make out that something landing down, I mean something quite heavy has landed up with a loud sound, and like just like rubber tube falling down. You make a note of it that it is sounds as if there's an animal around, and he's ignoring it, assuming that those are rats. Even so, I thought I would turn around to take a look. He thought of turning around and giving a look right around the room, but he didn't do that. No sooner had I turned than a fat snake wriggled over the back of the chair and landed on my shoulder. Now this was the surprise that he received, because he ignored that sound that was coming from above. The snake's landing on me and my turnings were simultaneous. That means the moment he turned around, the snake landed on his shoulder. Wriggled means to crawl. Simultaneous means at the same time. So now you can make out the surprising scene that when he was turning around, the snake landed on his shoulder, and the timing was just perfect to frighten him and to freeze him. I didn't jump. I didn't tremble. Tremble means to shake. I didn't cry out. There was no time to do any such thing. So you can make out that he was nearly frozen. He couldn't make any actions. He couldn't cry, scream. And it is very natural that a person is not able to scream or cry because he is frightened. The snake slithered along. Slithered means moved along my shoulder and coiled around my left arm above the elbow. Slithered means twisting and crawling, moving to the snake. The snake moved in such a way that it wrapped itself on the doctor's left arm like a coil. That means it coiled around the hand. The hood was spread out. That means the head of the snake was spread out, and its head was hardly 3 to 4 inches from my face. That means it was, needless to say, it was a cobra snake. It would not be correct to say merely that I sat there holding my breath. I was turned to stone. That means he was frozen. He could hardly move, and he was turned to stone means he was dead scared. But my mind was very active. That means though he was scared, he was frozen, he couldn't move around physically, but his mind was very active. He was waiting for a moment where he could dodge the snake and run out. The door opened into darkness. In the light of the lamp, I sat there like a stone image in the flesh. It was quite dark, and he sat there still, just like a statue, and he was waiting for a moment. I felt then the great presence of the creator of this world and his universe. God was there. Now he had faith, he had hope in God that God will save him from this situation. Suppose I said something and he did not like it. Who's that he? This word he is used for the snake. I tried in my imagination to write in bright letters outside my little heart the words, "Oh God." Now you can make out that he had faith and he was praying to God for his life. There was some pain in my left arm. It was as if at a leaden rod, a rod made of a molten fire, was slowly but powerfully crushing my arm. So what was crushing? It was actually the snake coiling around his arm that was crushing and troubling him and giving him that mild pain. The arm was beginning to be drained of all strength. What could I do? So you can make out that if you can imagine that the snake was coiling and tightening around his hand, it was actually crippling him, and the circulation in his hand was of course reduced, and that is the reason he felt his arm quite heavy and completely losing all power and action. At my slightest movement, the snake would strike me. Death lurked 4 inches away. That means if he were to move, the snake would kill him. Death lurked means it was hanging around, it was hidden just a few 4 inches away from him. Suppose it struck, what was the medicine I had to take? There were no medicines in the room. I was but a poor, foolish, and stupid doctor. I forgot my danger and smiled feebly at myself. Now he is thinking of, you can make out that he kept on repeating to himself that he was a doctor, he was a bachelor. Now he is thinking that he is quite foolish, and being a foolish doctor, usually doctors think of keeping a first aid box and some ready medicines which are urgently required at home. He never kept any such medical kit in his house, and now he felt that though he was not only just poor but quite foolish and a silly doctor who did not care of his own safety and never thought of any danger from which he could save his life. So you can make out what kind of doctor was he if he did not care about his own life and his own safety. It seemed as if God appreciated that. The snake turned its head, it looked into the mirror and saw its reflection. Now you can see this photograph is from your textbook Beehive. The snake that was on the shoulder of this doctor, it turned to the snake, and the way this doctor was, homeopathic doctor was admiring his own beauty in the mirror, now the snake started admiring its beauty in the mirror. It's God, it's a gift from God that this was the chance that the doctor found in order to escape from the snake. I did not claim that it was the first snake that had ever looked into the mirror, but it was certain that the snake was looking into the mirror. Now you can, he hasn't lost his humor while this scenario he is presenting to us. That it is, he is not boasting that or not claiming that it's the first snake that is looking into the mirror, but the snake is definitely looking at itself in the mirror and maybe admiring itself. Was it admiring its own beauty? Now he is questioning whether the way he was admiring his beauty, whether the snake is also admiring his beauty. Was it trying to take an important decision about growing a mustache or using eyeshadow or mascara or wearing a vermilion spot on its forehead? Now this is quite interesting because the way he was thinking of growing a mustache, and now maybe it's not a he snake or a she snake, he couldn't make out, or maybe an eyeshadow to beautify its eyes, and mascara to grow its lashes, and wearing a vermilion spot is actually on the forehead, a red color bindi, that's akin to the vermilion or the spot that is used for beautification of the forehead. Vermilion is actually a color. Now let's proceed. I do not know anything of for certain. That means he is unsure of what the snake was doing. What sex was this snake, whether it was a male or a female. Even the writer is not very sure about it. That's why he's saying whether a mustache or he's talking about an eyeshadow or mascara. So he's not very sure about whether it was he or she, masculine or feminine. Was it a male or a female? I will never know, for the snake unwound itself from my arm and slowly slithered into my lap. That means it unwound the lower part of the body and landed up in the lap of the doctor. From there it crept onto the table and moved towards the mirror. Now the snake really wanted to look at the mirror and admire itself. This is quite interesting. As the plot is building up, we are reaching the climax now. Perhaps it wanted to enjoy its reflection at closer quarters. That means it wanted to look at itself from very closely into the mirror. It was no mere image cut in granite. I was suddenly a man of flesh and blood. Now it was not that he was acting as a statue or he was made of carved into a marble or a stone. He was returning back to being a man of flesh and blood. That means feelings and thinking. Still holding my breath, I got up from the chair. I quietly went out and through the door into the veranda. Now this is the moment he rushed out. Okay, slowly he quietly went out and into the veranda, that open space. From where I leapt into the yard, he quickly moved into the open yard and ran all for all I was worth. That means he saved his life with great strength and stride. He rushed out of that space and saved his life. Now you know that when he's rushing for his life, he wouldn't care to lock his door and house and take care of his belongings. He just wanted to save himself, isn't it? Now let us see what happened after that. Phew. A sigh of relief. Okay, you usually give this kind of sound, a blow from your mouth, when you want to give a sigh of relief. Each of us heaved a sigh of relief. That means now you remember he was narrating a story to his the people who were sitting around him. Somebody asked, "Doctor, is your wife very fat?" Now look at the question and look at the thought. No, the doctor said, God willed otherwise. My life companion is thin, greedy person with the gift of a sprinter. What is greedy person? That means a person, thing that is resembling a tall, thin leaved plant, or that is from a grass family. So reeds. Now why did this question come into the mind of the listener who had asked this? It's quite interesting. Someone else asked, "Doctor, when you ran, did the snake follow you?" That means when the doctor sneaked out of that room and rushed out slowly, did the snake try following him? Did the snake slithered and tracked him where the direction in which the doctor was moving? The doctor replied, "I ran and ran till I reached the friend's house. Immediately I smeared oil all over myself and took a bath. I changed into fresh clothes." Now these are certain precautions that as a homeopathic doctor he believed that applying oil and massaging his body with oil will definitely remove the smell with that he believed that the snake would trace him, but the snake of course moves listening to the vibrations, not the smell of the person. So oil massage, according to him, that was a remedy that he had followed, or a myth that he had followed. The next morning at about 8:30, I took my friend and one of the two others to my room to move my things from there. Now he didn't want to live over there at all, but we found we had little to carry. Now he wanted to carry all the stuff that he had. He wanted to move out of that room. He doesn't want to stay in that place at all. Now he's saying that he believes that he has got very little to carry. That means something happened to his belongings. Now let us see what happened to his belongings. Some thief had removed most of my things. The room had been cleaned out. That means while he had left the snake there and he ran out of the house, of course he couldn't have thought of locking the house. So a thief who happened to sneak in, he cleaned the entire house of the belongings, but not really. The thief had left behind one thing as a final insult. Now this is quite interesting. He is using the word insult because the thief had left a very dirty piece of the cloth that he was wearing, the clothes that he was wearing, and he left it hanging as a mark of insult that the thief did not care to carry any such underrated kind of stuff with him. "What was that?" I asked. The doctor said, "The vest, the dirty one." The fellow had such a sense of cleanliness. The rascal could have taken it and used it after washing it with soap and water. Now he is using this word, of course, not as a bad word, but in a very mischievous and a cheeky manner, that he could have used it. But that person was practiced the height of cleanliness, that he didn't want to carry dirty stuff, as if the stealing the remaining stuff was a very clean stuff in his life, or a clean approach in his life. Did you see the snake the next day, doctor? Now, look at the interesting question, as if the snake is one of the patients who will keep visiting the doctor on the following day. The doctor laughed. I have never seen it since. It was a snake which was taken with its own beauty. Taken means attracted by its own beauty. Now let us see if we can summarize this particular poem in our own words. This particular short story, it's of a homeopathic doctor who encountered with a snake. The doctor lived in a small rented room which was an outhouse. It had 2 windows and a tiled roof. The tiles were supported by gables which rested on the beam, and there was no electricity supply to the room. The place was infested with rats. One hot summer night, the doctor took his meals at the restaurant and returned home. He lighted the kerosene lamp, took off his coat and shirt, and opened the 2 windows. He settled on the chair and took out a medical book to read. There was a large mirror on the table on which stood a lamp. Since it was too hot to sleep, he had nothing better to do. He sat down in front of the mirror, admiring himself, planning to improve his appearance as he was an eligible bachelor. Gradually his thoughts shifted from self-admiration to planning his future marriage. He thought that he would marry a rich doctor having a good practice, and that he would choose a fat lady as his wife so that she would not be able to run and catch him. He was so engrossed in his daydreaming that he did not give much importance to the sudden silence. The rat had stopped scampering, and there was a sound of something falling behind him, but he was slow to react. By the time he turned around to have a look, a snake had wriggled over the back of the chair and landed on his shoulders. It coiled around his left arm above the elbow. It was a dangerous cobra, and its hood spread out hardly 3 inches from his face. It's 4 inches in the text. The doctor sat there like a stone statue, afraid to move lest the snake may strike. He thought of various medicines he had, and if any was good enough to save him if the snake did bite him. In this moment of fear of death, he realized the presence of God. God had punished him for being too proud and arrogant. He realized that he was but a mere human, a poor person, nothing to boast about. The moment he accepted his true worth, the snake crawled off and sat on the table in front of the mirror. The doctor got up silently and rushed out of the door. Next morning, when he returned, all his belongings had been robbed, but for his dirty vest, which was too dirty even for the thief. I hope that you have enjoyed the story. If you are new on the channel, kindly subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you receive the notification when I upload the next video. And if you liked it, kindly hit like and share it with family and friends. And if you hit like, it will get saved on your liked playlist. You can revisit the video and take down notes and study for your assessments and examinations. Thank you for joining me, and have a wonderful day.